speaking of insane and full of shit, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Andy Biggs, right? That's this guy. Oh, no, this is Chip Roy. This is Chip Roy. I always get them mixed up. Chip Roy, everybody, who's from, I don't know, someplace macho, but whatever. And anyways, he says they're engaged. This is interesting because I'm always excited to learn something I don't know. You know, I'm the kind of guy that likes to study stuff and venture out into areas that I find, you know, full of history and technological information that I might have considered at one point mumbo jumbo, and then I get a handle on it, and I start to understand it. And yet, in many of these cases, especially when it comes to the Chip Roys and the Comers and the Jim Jordans of the world, I have been hammering away at this for as long as I can, and I still don't understand the hyperbole. I'll show you. Yes, he is live from the Barbie house. That's true. Biden administration engaged in the highest level of corruption. Well, the highest level of corruption. I mean, so you're telling me Hunter's got a $3 billion Saudi wealth fund that what would that be? I don't know. He'll tell us. What's the highest level of corruption? Now we know that Nixon, for example, hired some thuggy wugs to break into the Democratic headquarters and rifle through some shit and plant some listening devices, and they got caught and all that stuff. And Reagan was involved in Iran-Contra, literally trading arms for hostages and using drugs as the conduit for it, and resulting in cocaine and turning into crack cocaine, ending up on the streets of Los Angeles as the part of that greater thing. That's some pretty high level shit. The no bid contracts from Halliburton going into the Iraq War, it set off a lot of, you know, sirens in a lot of people's minds, myself included. I would stack that up as pretty high on the corruption scandal. So far, we've got these guys think that the president's son wasn't qualified for a job he got. They have no problem with Ivanka being a presidential advisor and working in the fucking White House. In the White House. And she and her husband getting a $3 billion Saudi wealth fund afterwards, as Trump gets in bed with the Saudis as well. That's not the highest level. This is. So I'm up. Let me hear. I'm excited. You want to know. I want to know. We all want to know. What's the highest level of corruption? Here it is.
It has begun. Not the NFL season. That's later this week. But the showdown over a possible government shutdown. First out of the gate after late.
Boring. We do this all the time. It's like when you're a kid, Christmas seems so fucking far away, and then when you're older, it's like, Jesus Christ, is Christmas again already? Oh my God, I still have my tree up. Oh good, I'll just leave it up. Right? As you get older, you're like, Jesus, that year zipped by. Now I'm doing the same fucking thing with government shutdowns. I don't care. They're not going to do it. It's brinksmanship. It's a waste of fucking time. It's just damaging to the economy, and it's a bunch of bullshit.
Labor Day is the White House slipping Politico its memo. The White House writes, House Republicans should keep their promise to the country and remember lives are at stake in the government funding debate, including the fight against fentanyl trafficking.
Right. They slipped them the memo? You mean they gave it to them so that they could publish the official line from the White House and their talking points on it?
End of quote. One border state Republican, our next guest, is gearing up for a spending fight battle.
Let's roll. Yeah, saddle up. Me too. Game times. Hey, it's not a game. You don't ride a horse. And let's roll is you took that from the fucking 9/11 heroes that were on Flight 93. Go fuck yourself.
In a series of tweets, he said,
talking like, let's roll. I'm sort of like the heroes on Flight 93 and the terrorists who've taken over the plane that are going to crash it into the Pentagon or into a field in Pennsylvania are people I don't consider sufficiently fiscally conservative or don't share my values specifically on a couple of budgetary items. Therefore, shut the fuck up.
Let's roll, saddle up, and game time. House Judiciary Committee member, Texas Congressman Chip Roy.
How are you not just fucking embarrassed by... You're an elected official. Let's roll.
Joins me. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta. How are you?
I'm very well. With much of
I'm doing great. I'm in Greg Kelly's old time slot, and he still hasn't gotten over it.
Washington, at least on your side of the aisle, your side of the House, the Hill, rather.
There is no hill. House, aisle, that's fine. There is... All right.
They're out of town. Is work being done towards reaching negotiation on government funding?
Work. That's adorable. He didn't say work time. He said game time, stupid.
By that September 30th deadline.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm here in D.C. I think we ought to be in D.C. doing our job, and I think we...
Wait, your job is to hang out in D.C. even when you're not working? Why are you in D.C. if everybody else is on recess? You're supposed to be back talking to your constituents about what's important. Oh, you don't give a fuck.
We've got to do what the American people sent us here to do, which is check this administration. That's what this is all about, holding them accountable. Nobody sent me to Washington to be a rubber stamp for the status quo and to continue doing what this administration is doing to the American people.
Yeah, but you're also a House representative, and you are part of a very large group that is, of people who are not voted on statewide at all, in many cases in gerrymandered districts where if they had to cross the street to get voters, your neighbors wouldn't vote for you, but your district is drawn so cattywampus that it's only people who fall into one side of the aisle. So eat a bag of frog assholes with this idea that you're not the president. You're not even a senator. You're one of the House. And I got news for you. You're not going to be the turning point alone. You and 12 other fucking people holding the economy hostage is not the will of the people. You can be from a shitty district, but there's a reason why you're in the House and in a sea of other humans compared to the Senate or even the administration.
The absolute chutzpah of this administration to put out a memo where they want to say that somehow because we want to hold them accountable to the border crisis they've created that have endangered the lives of the American people, caused 70,000 plus Americans to die from fentanyl poisonings.
70? Because wasn't that number rising all through the Trump administration and it crested at 100,000? So not only is the White House seizing more fentanyl as it comes across the border, but the number of people that have died from fentanyl has dropped by 30,000, while you fuckers have done nothing. So again, this goes to that whole thing of like, oh my God, they seized all this fentanyl at the border. That's what they're supposed to do, fuckhead. Well, apparently it's working. I'm not crazy, right? He said 70, right?
Endanger the lives of the American people, caused 70,000 plus Americans.
Yep, 70,000. If you'll recall, in 2020 into 2021, that fiscal year was the first time it broke 100,000. And the vast majority of them happened under Trump, and obviously Biden didn't take office until January 21st, and his policies wouldn't go into effect for another 60 to 90 days. So that was all Trump's. You want to talk about Trump's fucking fumes? That was it. And I would argue that COVID played a part in that because of misery and all this fucking the end is nigh bullshit, and the doom sprayers have a lot to say that because you have a lot of people who use drugs out of sorrow and desperation because they don't have a future, they don't see one, and fentanyl only has to get you once. But I would like to say thanks, Joe Biden, for bringing that number back down. And I guess the idea would be that we're going to continue to do that. Fentanyl is a cop prop? No, it is not. Wild Mambo Queen. Not by any measure. How many deaths from guns? About 36,000. Most of them are suicides. Vast majority. which again, you could lower gun deaths in this country just by finding a smart way to address suicide or giving people options so that they don't. But that's another thing. Another conversation for another time. But to anybody even thinking about that, you're loved. Don't do it. Just change your personality. You'll be fine. You got options. You don't have to be the you don't like. Just telling you. But anyways, the number going down from 100,000 to 70,000. Thanks, Joe Biden. Chip Roy accidentally making a small campaign ad for the Biden administration.
To die from fentanyl poisonings. They should have to talk to the moms that I sat at last week in my own district where they've lost their own kids. My friend Stephanie, who lost her son Tucker. My friend Janelle, who lost her son Noah, all in the last couple of years. It's
in the last couple of years. When did the fentanyl that they took cross the border? When did it actually make its journey? Last couple of years? Also, what the fuck are you doing about your district?
absolutely tragic. And now they want to try to use that to say, oh, if we dare try to hold them accountable for the open borders that are causing that mess and that crisis, that
borders aren't open.
Somehow we're going to undermine the ability to stop fentanyl. That's
well, if you cut funding to border security, because that if you stop the government funding, that's what happens. And you certainly can't expand it. And if you cut the funding, that's one of the cuts that goes with it. If you're cutting everything down to 1%, growth everywhere, then you don't get to expand the budget that was already laid out that expands the ability to cover the border that's already ongoing, including the gate that Benny Johnson was confused that they were building in the gap in Trump's wall that he just left as a fucking hole by the way, in the area that he was supposed to be just repairing.
absurd. You know what it really shows? They're afraid.
Yes, they're afraid you'll shut down the government and wreck the economy and fuck up America's credit rating for no other reason than you guys have you got an election next year and you got nothing else to do.
They know if Republicans go after them for all that they are doing to the American people, they're losing.
What's stopping you from going after them? Why do you have to shut down the government to, quote, go after them? What the fuck does that even mean? Honestly, go after us. Have fun. The fuck? I'm dead serious. What does that mean? Go after who? You're not going after anyone. You don't control the government. You have a hair's breadth lead in the House. You don't have the presidency. You don't have the Senate. And by all accounts, you should have taken a lot more space up in the House last time, and you didn't. Because of you. Because of the Freedom Caucasians and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and all this dumb fuckery that everybody's sick of, because we're all sick of white knuckling our goddamn country when we'd rather just get on with it.
So Republicans need to be in town and hold the line.
You're not holding the line. There's nobody with you. What are you doing? You're in D.C. just to be away from your fucking family. Nobody's there. You're not having special committee hearings. This asshole is not sitting there marking up the goddamn, like, the budget that they have laid out. He didn't even write it up. He's not even part of the budget crafting group. And if the border is the biggest problem, why the fuck are you in D.C. when everybody's home if your constituency is affected by the border and everybody talks about Biden won't go to the border? Why the fuck aren't you down there? If people are dying from fentanyl in your area, maybe it's they're taking these drugs because of the lack of opportunity. Maybe there's other reasons why they're consuming drugs that kill them. Maybe go work on that. And the idea that maybe they'll lean more towards, I don't know, weed and alcohol and away from the hard stuff if your fucking district was functioning right. Maybe that.
But do you see your fellow Republicans agreeing with you? Because first of all, you've got to get...
No.
Some agreement on your own side. Is the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, for instance, in agreement with the three things you're looking for: policy changes on border, policy changes on the weaponization of DOJ and FBI, as well as issues about woke policies at the Pentagon? Is the
Yeah, these motherfuckers are gonna go. They're gonna shut down the government over diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations going on at the Pentagon, of which there's been just fuck all. Like, honest to God, this is all of these folks that are in the Freedom Caucus. They might as well be on their name. It shouldn't say like our Texas. It should say our TikTok. These fuckers represent the outrage that they see from people who watch shit on TikTok or social media and go, the world is the fucking best, right? He's more from the district of InfoWars or the district of the internet, like the Blaze or Daily Wire than he is of his own fucking district. And I guarantee the constituents that are coming to him with this fucking blather are the exact same people. They watch a lot of like bullshit internet. They don't even look out their own goddamn window. They haven't talked to their neighbor, but in spite in months. They go to a fucking parking again. Like we had the caller when I was filling in on a Jones show from Northern Kentucky, which is where a lot of my family lives. And when I was there, I was struck by how many. This is a very Republican area, very red area, south of Cincinnati, in the border, across the border into Kentucky. A lot of people identify as Republican. And every fucking one of them is like, the country is falling to shit. It's shit. The economy is shit. And it's shit. Everything's falling. Biden doesn't know what he's doing. And the whole fucking, nobody's got a job. And we're all brokety broke. And they're all at Target in the middle of the day buying baskets of shit. Hand over fist. Well, if it's as bad as you say, where are you getting the money to be here? And where the fuck are all of these other people getting the money to be here? Who are these people? Is this just illegal immigrants all going to Target at the same fucking time, spending welfare checks or some shit? Who are they? God damn.
The Speaker of the House in agreement with you?
No.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We've been having the conversation.
That's a no. That's a no. No. The Republicans, dude, they don't give a fuck about their, especially in the context of their populist methodology that they, or their messaging towards their constituents about this whole like freedom and God and country and blah, blah, blah. All that. They can talk a good game. But ultimately, their bread is buttered by wealthy elites like the members of the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society and all the DC quote-unquote swamp insiders that they decry are their best buddies. It's just absurd how much like these guys rely on the business community for all their shitting on, woke corporations and big business, when in reality, that's who they're arguing gets the most tax credits and the most tax breaks. So, I mean, he doesn't give a fuck because, hold on, let's take a look. Let's take a little trip, shall we? Hi, how do we take a little trip down to, okay, Rep, Chip, Roy, District. Let's see. Let's see. Texas 21. Which is let's see, which South. Okay, so Texas 21 is a new congressional district, and he served as an assistant attorney general under Ken Paxton, which is very telling. Chief of staff to Ted Cruz, blah blah blah. So they basically built this fucking district just for him. And let's see. So Texas. Let's go to Texas. District 21. Let's take a look at it. Okay. Now, let's, all right. Wikipedia is not for that. Maybe later. Thank you. Close. All right. So here, let me open this up. This is the Wikipedia on it, but it'll do for now. Okay, here we go. Texas's 21st congressional district. This is the, let's see, distribution: 78% urban, 21% rural. So the idea that this motherfucker is a cowboy district, representative is just bullshit. It's Austin, for fuck's sake. Population a little under 800,000. Median household income in Chip Roy's district is $84,000 a year. That's like, let's see. Yeah, 30 grand higher than, or 20 grand higher than the national average. I think the national average is 65, right? It is 61% white, 30% Hispanic, 3% Asian, 3% Black, 0.52% Native American. It's Republican plus 13, which is exactly this derivation right here. It's just basically the, but not saying, by the way, that a bunch of Hispanics don't view themselves as Republican, because there's a lot of religious conservative Hispanics that lean that way. So never mind. Point being, it's like, it's Trump country. They voted for Ted Cruz. They voted for Abbott for governor. There's a bunch of whatever. Let's see. But, okay, district established in 1935, because this is one of the newer ones. Okay, so they added 2 on top of this to basically slice off any difficult areas. It was originally Democratic, 35 to 43. That would be your Dixiecrats, ladies and gentlemen. That would be the, before the Civil Rights Act, this would be the racist Democrats, arguably. The people who were fighting for one man, one vote under the basis that this would include, back in the day, way back in the day, that you would count the value of the population of an area by their slaves, but then not let them, the slaves didn't have the right to vote. Hence the 3/5 aspect of the Constitution that goes in there. So Charles South, O.C. Fisher, Democratic, vacant 74 to 75. And then 75 to 79 was the last Democrat, this guy, Bob Kruger. And then since then, Loeffler, Lamar Smith, and then Chip Roy. And he's been there since 2019. So he hasn't been around all that long. He's elected in 2018. He was part of the Trump, middle class. So without him, there is no version of that. And this dude, he took over this seat from somebody who was in there since 86. And he retired. So they voted for Ted Cruz. He worked for Ted Cruz. Off you go. In this, party candidate, 2004 House election in Canada's recent election results. Republican held turnout 341, majority 88%. The Republican got 209,000. The Democrat got 121,000. The Libertarian got 10, majority 88, 645. Turnout was 341, not bad for the area, although probably 100,000 short. If the Democrats in the area thought they could win, they'd have shown up and actually won by a hair's breadth, but it's possible. Now let's look at, so the financials of this is median household 84. I don't know what the, let's see. Now this is an old picture. Boundaries for them. Okay, hold on. So, I mean, it's basically government and industry around. Let's see. Let's see. I'll go with the biggest. Give me 1 second. The biggest businesses in Texas District 21. What are those? Hey, hold on. Yeah. Congressional District of Texas data. Largest industry in Texas. Okay. So, the largest industries in that area. About it. Okay. Here we go. Population of 827,000. Population congressional district. Okay, blah, blah. It grew. 5 largest ethnic groups. White, blah, blah, blah. Non-Hispanic, white, Hispanic. 22%, 2 Hispanic, blah, blah, blah. Okay. 20%, and again, these are Hispanic people who call themselves white or identify as white. 22% of the thing. So even the white number, a chunk of them are white Hispanic, and that's just, may affect how they vote or whatever. But okay, 20% of households in congressional report speaking a non-English language. That means 80% do, and whatever. 94% of the residents in congressional district are U.S. citizens. 2020, the median property value in it was $304,000. Home ownership was 58.2%. That's pretty high. Congressional district drove loan to work. Average commute was okay. Blah blah blah. Population diversity, citizenship diversity. Blah blah blah. Where's the foreign-born population? Is 9%. It's down. Yeah, it was down. Although COVID could have killed off that. Non-English households mostly speak Spanish, of which there are a few. Mandarin second, 4,000 households. German is another one, 3,000 households. Almost as many as, what a shock. Veterans, Vietnam, Gulf War. Okay, and then the economy, industry, all occupations. Okay, here we go. 429K 2020 value, workforce, blah, blah, blah. 2% year growth. These are the main jobs there. This is what mostly comes out of Chip Roy, Super Cowboys District. Okay, this is a guy who wears a fucking cowboy hat in his ads and around his area. Okay, and here are the primary industries in his district: management occupations, sales and related occupations, office and administrative support occupations, health diagnosis, treatment practitioners, and other technical occupations, computer mechanical, architecture and engineering, arts, design, entertainment, sports, media occupations, which, by the way, because it's Austin, it's a fairly high number, but it's still in single digits. Business and financial operations. The only ones in double digits are management, sales, and office support. And then you got over here construction and extraction occupations. That's 4%. That's oil and construction. And again, 4%. That ain't a lot. Production occupations, 2%. Installation, maintenance, repair occupations. These are always needed, and there's 2%. So if you have that kind of skill set, you can go there. And then down here, food prep and serving related occupations. Restaurants, because it's fucking Austin, 6%. Personal car and service occupations. Healthcare. Where's fucking cowboy is my question. Where is that? Life, physical, and social science occupations. Fucking Reiki practitioners. Love you. Legal occupations. 7,800 people. Margin of error plus 847. Workforce growth 10%. Sure, why not? That's 2020. This is I'm not seeing this fucking down home, countrified horseshit view of the like, motherfucker. You represent managers and restaurant staff. If we're doing the numbers, this motherfucker has. It would make more sense if he was wearing an Office Depot shirt than wearing a fucking cowboy hat. I don't even know what the fuck this guy does. All hat, no cattle, exactly. And he's in fucking Austin. This is like Alex Jones's fucking district. Another fucking poser. Sir, this is a Wendy's, right? How in the world? And I, it's not surprising to fucking anybody that these dickheads have this, this picture of themselves of, I'm down home. I represent the people of Texas. I mean, I don't know nothing about Texas, but let me talk here for a second. They Southern, and then they's Southern. And there's a storied history in the South, and I'm sure this feller knows about it, of a special kind of cowboy. I call him, for lack of a better phrase, the food court cowboy. He's a food court cowboy, chomping down on a dog in the middle of a game arcade. He's a food court cowboy. Drives his F-150 to the mall every fucking day. Oh, he's a food court cowboy. Yeah, so it's Chip Roy here is what we call a food court cowboy. He's one of these fellers that wants to, he'll walk around in a fucking burlap shirt, wearing a fucking straw, or a leather or a cloth cowboy hat all the time. Ain't got no cows, ain't a boy, so I guess it's technically just an ass hat, just an ass. He's an ass. Just, if you ain't got no cows, don't be wearing no cowboy hat, or at least don't call it that. Just say it's my hat. They go, is that your cowboy hat? I go, no, I don't have any cows. It's just a fucking hat. That's okay. You can wear any goddamn hat you want to, Mr. Tricorn, fucking Tea Party. This is so the rain runs in every direction except down my shirt. Good for you, dipshit. I don't care. You're not a fucking founding father. Now take your weird folded up fucking hat and your umbrella and get the shit out of here. Now, food court cowboy over here that thinks he's a motorcycle stud because he eats at a Harley Davidson restaurant. Says he's traveled to Australia because he's eaten at an Outback. And thinks he's a man of the land because one time when he bought some new cowboy boots, he dragged his fucking feet, clipped them on a curb, ate shit and went face down in the sand. Oh, Petrazi, that's awful nice. I'm going to buy some dental floss with that. That's lovely. Look at you. That's awfully nice. But there's a bunch of these assholes running around. Ted Cruz, one of them too. Fucker sounds like, I don't know what he sounds like. He sounds like a spitting image doll from that, from that England where they were doing George H.W. Bush. They all got that real tinny, thin voice, like get off my land, But it sure don't sound cowboy. I don't understand that at all. But the point is, this motherfucker, I don't even know where they get off calling themselves South. Listen to this. Well, let's listen to him talk. Listen to his accent. Listen to him.
Need to have with the Speaker's office. And look, I think the Speaker is doing what most of my colleagues are doing, which.
Yeah, that sounds really Southern to me, and not at all like someone who works in a call center. Dude, you can't even. Fucking Senator Kennedy's been faking that fucking Southern accent for 5 decades now. You can't drum one up. Just drag some of your vowels, dum-dum. That's just weird. Get the fuck out of here. He sounds like a CNN anchor. That's just cold, chat room. That's cold. Say that about him. It's true, though. How come all these dudes who want to be all Southern or butch or something, that they all look like him, sound like Matt Gaetz? What is that? You ever hear Matt Gaetz talk? He sounds like a Valley girl. The fuck kind of down-home shit. They're always talking about how just they're part of the flyover states and they're part of America that the federal government don't give shit about or whatever. Meanwhile, this motherfucker's they're on break. What the fuck you doing in D.C.? Go to fuck home. I hate this asshole. This is terrible. What's wrong with you? What's he even talking about? I wasn't here for most of this.
Has been out in their districts talking to their constituents.
What? Asshole, you're in D.C., specifically not out in your district, talking to your constituents, whom, according to you, are dying hand over fist from fentanyl. Get your fucking waders on and get to work.
I talked to 10 of my colleagues today.
Yeah, you didn't talk to a single constituent, though, did you? Funny how that works.
One of them hearing a very loud, united voice from the American.
From the phone calls they are getting to their D.C. office from God knows where. Let me ask you a question. Are they having town halls? Don't answer that question. I already know it. No, they are not. Here's a good idea, dumb fuck. Go have a town hall. and welcome everybody and explain your ass. Tell them how you're going to shut down the government because of some video you saw on fucking TikTok, and fucking Matt Gaetz showed you a picture of some girl's titties that were on something, and they're like, that they're going to put that in schools next. And then that you get all tied up on it and went, hey, can you send me that picture? And then you're one of these assholes who gets freaked out when they say they seized a bunch of fentanyl and never get the idea that that's the whole fucking point. This asshole probably supported Title 42. After Title 42 went away, even I know the fucking crossings dropped in half.
People they represent.
I'm out.
That they're sick of it. Sick of the status quo. Kevin's hearing the same.
That's right. That's, in my district, if I do say so myself, is that I find often in my very down-home district, which is, of course, filled to the brim with people of the land. They are often calling me and all my MAGA and true America First, Americana candidates, calling them up and saying they are sick and tired of the status quo. Like people say. They go, I am tired of the status quo, and then they hang up. And that's how I know how intensely they feel about this as a cowboy.
Thing. We have a job to do, and we need to be united as Republicans.
Okay, well then unite with the bigger group, because you're not going to do it.
But I'm not going to listen to the normal DC swamp excuse machine.
You are the normal DC swamp excuse machine. If you weren't, you'd be back home in your district, not excusing yourself from talking to your goddamn constituents.
Right? Oh, we can't do the impeachment inquiry, Chip, if we're engaged in a debate over government funding. I'm sorry. You mean in 2013 when we had a government shutdown and we had the House still engaging in many hearings? Bull. It's complete nonsense.
What?
2013, not a good example. No. Especially as we were recovering from the economic crash, and you fuckers intended on slowing the recovery because it can't happen under the Democratic president.
People saying that are just using excuses.
Well,
like, I'm in D.C., I can't possibly meet with you right now.
let me ask you about the impeachment inquiry, because there's a lot of criticism. Let the voters decide. We're inching up on the 2024 election, and
yeah, it's a little hard to make that case that you should let the voters decide on Trump's indictments, but not on Biden's impeachment, I guess.
Likewise, a lot of the court hearings against the former president of the United States are being decided by legal actions rather than the voters. Are you opposed to just letting the voters make these decisions rather than letting politicians?
Of course he is. He's from a largely urban district around Austin, and he wears a cowboy hat when he campaigns. Do you think you're going to get a sensible answer from this man?
And judges and special prosecutors make the decisions for us on these issues?
Oh, no, look, I'm a firm believer in allowing the voters to make decisions, but...
Uh-huh. Except in the ballot box or, in terms of, I guess, voters that, I don't know, serve on grand juries, for example.
We have an obligation here. I mean, people...
Yeah, that's the important thing. It's a sacred obligation.
have asked me about...
The other two impeachments were bullshit, even though he was found guilty in both cases and would have been kicked out, except the Republicans blocked the vote by, not voting their conscience. Most of them, there were enough who said, yeah, he deserves to be kicked out of office and never be able to run again, but I'm too chicken shit to do it. But it's not because I don't believe he's guilty. Yeah, but anyways, you were saying something about sacred obligation.
About this. Like, well, why would we impeach Joe Biden if we have Kamala Harris waiting in the wings? Like,
no, I would say, why would you impeach Joe Biden with no evidence of fucking anything? That would be it.
Well, I'll tell you why. We have a duty.
Yes, you are full of it. Actually, you're full of duty. I think there's another word for it. It's
bullshit.
That's right. There's plenty of duty to go around.
We have a duty to enforce the law. This administration.
Uh-huh.
has engaged.
Like the law against trespassing on Capitol grounds and attacking police officers and crushing their spines and spitting in their faces and spraying them with bear spray and hitting them with sticks and trying to steal their own gun and threatening to kill them and tasing them until they have heart attacks and that kind of thing, bashing through a window and carrying in explosives and carrying in knives and carrying in guns and all that. Those kind of laws, I mean, that's just a misdemeanor, right? A violation of the parade ordinance, I think.
In what appears to be the highest level of corruption perhaps ever seen in the White House. We have
Perhaps.
But that's what I'm going to.
About that.
But if Jack Smith, if the special counsel Jack Smith were here, and I was asking him, why do we have two federal actions, one in Atlanta, Fulton County, and one in D.C., and which in many ways,
no, one's a state action.
Mirror each other. He'd say,
no, they don't mirror each other. They are different cases. Greta, this is just dumb. Fulton County is about his attempted manipulation of the Georgia electoral process, the fake elector scheme, and him trying to manipulate Brian Kemp and Ravensburger, the Secretary of State, into getting him votes he didn't earn after a recount and lawsuits were finished. That's not the same thing as Trump retaining classified documents illegally, hiding the process that he was removing them from these boxes from his own attorney, causing them to lie to the authorities on his behalf, engaging in a conspiracy with Walt Nauta to move the boxes out of storage into his office where he could go through them, remove classified documents that he knew were classified and had not been declassified before he took them, and he did not have the right to have or disseminate, put them in an unsecured desk in his office, not like the fucking storage room was secured, but move them into there, and then put the boxes back and tell his attorney that no one had moved the boxes since the last time I was there. Those are two fucking really different cases.
you know, I'm just doing my duty. Is he just doing his duty too?
No, because a politicized prosecution of a former president. Look, Greta, look, you know this. I did not support the legal theory of John Eastman and many of the people in the White House, right? I voted for the electors. I didn't think that was the right path to take. However,
Jack Smith is in charge of the classified documents case, not specifically, all right. The Jan 6 attack is different from just the electors part. It's the coordination of the actual insurrection itself. The behind-the-scenes machinations between him and his fucking war room, where Mark Meadows was the conduit between the president at the time and his group of flunkies at the fucking hotel where they were running this little war room. Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and fucking whoever else, Shemp. And then the people interacting with the Proud Boys and I guess whatever, Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas, bussing fucking troops in.
Equally bad, or worse, frankly, much worse, is politically prosecuting people like Mark Meadows and former President Trump and a lot of others, Jenna Ellis, in Atlanta, Georgia, because they don't like the way they wanted to stand up and use their free speech rights to say they thought the election was stolen?
No, they have the absolute free speech right to do that. But once you file legal documents or you speak under oath, your speech is now tailored to the oath you have taken. See how that works? You have any idea? Oh, hi. Hold on. I suppose I should say, hold on. Where is it? Oh, I guess I don't know. Maybe I didn't put it on this one. Hold on. Boink. Look, it's Chud. Chud just came in for a lie down. She's like, show's over, asshole. It's not Chip. It's Chud. What's you doing, Chud? What's happening? You okay? Yeah? All right, you just have a relax. I'll take you up in a second. She just went to the bathroom and needs a ride. Anyways, I'll finish this clip out and then I'll be on my way.
That is a massive problem. And then to have the United States Department of Justice pursuing prosecution because of January 6th, that is absurd. And it should send shivers down your spine.
Why? There was a physical attack on the Capitol. If it was coordinated, it was the most violent anti-American terrorist attack in our nation's history, because I believe 9/11 never actually had a shot at changing how we govern ourselves even including the Patriot Act, it wasn't enough to change how we live. Just look at the last couple of decades. You think we've gotten less free on some level because we have to take our fucking shoes off sometimes to get on a goddamn airplane? You think that's a lack of freedom? That's just caution.
Fine. We've got to.
You have to put them back on when you go in. You don't have to fly barefoot. And they don't scatter glass on the fucking plane floor.
Stop the Department of Justice from weaponizing itself.
Yes, you can't. It just it's overwhelmed. It's just a fascinating addiction. It's a desire.
But to go after Joe Biden and what we're seeing right now with what they did with the dollars flowing to Hunter Biden from foreign states to Hunter through probably to Joe, which we've got.
Through probably. We've got recordings of Donald Trump saying these are classified. Look, it says classified. If I was president, I could declassify these. These are really secret. I shouldn't be showing these to you, but we can probably do something about declassifying these, right? Like he's going to fucking call Joe Biden and go, hey, can I declassify this thing I just showed to Mark Meadows' autobiographer dicking around at Mar-a-Lago because I'm butthurt about something Mark Milley said? And P.S., this proves that I know I can't automatically declassify stuff by taking it out of the fucking White House magically. Fuck, my case is in the toilet. We have a recording of that. I don't want to hear maybe, probably, asshole.
Go look and go follow the evidence wherever it may lead.
Yes. First, find some evidence. You have information right now. Information is not evidence until you have a crime. That is the difference. There's a distinct difference between information and evidence.
Of course we have to pursue that and run that to ground.
You already have. It's run to ground. He's going to get indicted on lying on a gun form, which is something that under any other circumstance, Republicans would be up in arms, no pun intended, about.
That's not hypocrisy. What we're trying to
It's lunacy. It's laboriously stupid.
do is see whether or not Joe Biden was basically...
We just, wait. We just want to see whether or not what?
That's not hypocrisy.
Of course not.
What we're trying to do is see whether or not Joe Biden was basically selling access to the vice president.
We want to see if Joe Biden was basically selling access to the Easter Bunny. Bullshit! I swear to God, it's this many years into this shit. Right? It's this. Christ. Biden's got one more year in his term before the election goes. And these motherfuckers have been looking at all of this shit the entire time. And we're still at, maybe we just need to see if possibly maybe this runs to ground because it's the, and by the way, that won't stop me. We're still in the maybes, but this asshole is still, he's comfortable saying, engaged in, and I quote, the highest level of corruption. Okay, if you're engaged in the highest level of corruption, you should be able to find some of it.
The United States and the White House. We have an obligation to go pursue that.
All right. Just an aside is that just in my mind, there's a difference, and I'm going to take the last one. There's a difference between having an impeachment action and having hearings going forward to find out what was going on with Hunter Biden. That to me is just different.
Not an impeachment.
And those are different hearings to me, but
remember
obviously
that
very important to the American people.
An impeachment inquiry is critical, though, for us to have the tools necessary to seek the truth.
No. One would think that you would have a crime, something untoward you've actually found, and then that you believe is attached to someone else, and the inquiry is necessary to tie that actual crime, the undue influence part of it. The problem is they don't have that. Everybody was for Shokin getting the fucking boot, no matter what Megyn Kelly tries to say. So the idea that, like, we have a God-sworn obligation to our voters to go on a fishing expedition against Joe Biden as revenge for the Mueller report and the impeachments against Trump, where he was indeed found guilty after there had already been a whistleblower came forward and said, here's the crime. Even the whistleblowers that have come forward that they've had already don't actually have any evidence of a crime, of any influence peddling. They simply have that Hunter Biden worked for Burisma, something we've known for a long time. They also have pictures of him smoking in the bathtub. That's it.
That's the key here.
That's the key here. No, The key is in your ass, frankly. There is no key. There's a keyhole, but it is completely keyless. If you count into the Trump administration, this is 5 fucking years that since they've had supposedly the Hunter Biden laptop. 5 fucking years. Early 2019 is when allegedly the laptop came into the possession of Rudy Giuliani. And they have all of it. It's all up on the internet. You can read through all of it on the Marco Polo site. Everything is available. It's no mystery. There aren't like uncracked parts of it. There's not hidden aspects of it. Nothing. Now, the second hard drive that Rudy is jumping around, the Marco Polo site doesn't make a distinction between stuff he added, stuff that was on there allegedly when he first got it, and I don't believe it. I mean, he bought it when he was in Ukraine from the Russians anyways, and it's immaterial, whatever the fucking story is. But it's been 5 fucking years. They've had it since 2019, and this motherfucker wants to start impeachment inquiries on maybes because Hunter Biden worked for a foreign company that everybody knew he worked for and was paid by that company more than they thought he deserved. That's it. That's the smoking gun. That's the whole fucking thing. Good Lord. And again, compare that to Donald Trump engaged in a conspiracy willfully, loudly, and stupidly with Waltine Nada and 3 other people that we know of that worked at Mar-a-Lago to hide the removal of classified documents that he knew were classified and he had not declassified from boxes that they were hidden in when they left the White House, that he was retaining for God knows what, either for sale or for fucking yapping points, who God knows, but either way, it's illegal. And he lied to his own attorney that he wasn't touching the boxes when he was, and he admits to it on tape, and he brags about it all the fucking time. These were my documents. I could do whatever the fuck I want with them. No, you can't. And even on tape, he knows they're not declassified. He said it. He admits that's him on the tape. Game, set, fucking match. It's not even in the same category. We're not maybeing at this point. Donald Trump has admitted his guilt to the people who are writing Mark Meadows' fucking autobiography. That's it. Meanwhile, this dickhead is like, we need to shut down the government because on maybes. What about the presidential pardons for $2 million each? I agree. That's, even in another big fucking case. Good Lord.
And I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that because I would like to know what was going on with.
Yeah, I would like to know what was going on too. And the fact that Greta, you're so close to it. The fact that this fucker is on your show and he's spearheading this with James Comer and Jim Jordan. These guys are as close to it as you possibly can. They eat and sleep this. They're about to shut down the fucking government over this shit. And he's your guest. And you've been talking to him for 6 minutes already. And you don't know what's going on. That doesn't set off alarm bells. That doesn't concern you in any way. Because I guarantee, asshat, that everybody in my chat room, when I talk about that particular tape from the Mark Meadows interview where he's showing that stuff and he admitted to it, they all know what the fuck I'm talking about. They all know why it's illegal, and they all know why it undermines his defense. The idea that he could magically declassify stuff. Wipes it away. And Trump has admitted that's him on tape. Right? There's no confusion, right? Everybody, chat room, can someone check me on this? Am I losing my mind? Am I going out of my mind? Right? You guys get it. I know what's going on. My whole fucking chat knows what's going on. We know exactly what happened. We all of us know that the fucking phone call that he's getting busted for and the conspiracy around it was after Trump had run out of legal options and had run out of recounts and had been handed his ass in both cases. And he tried to work around it, which is illegal. I don't care what the fuck he believes because he's deluded or drunk or lying about what he thinks. That doesn't matter. He broke the fucking law specifically and wantonly with a total disregard for the fucking system. He'd run out of legal options and he tried to work around. That's illegal. Do you understand that part? He's on tape doing it. That didn't take me 5 fucking years. I don't have a copy of his fucking Don Jr.'s hard drive with a bunch of emails on it. There's 2 recordings. It's him. He admits it's him. Fucking hell.
With Hunter Biden and all this stuff, because I, like you, have been following it. Anyway, Congressman Chip.
Like you, I've been following it. He's not following it. He's leading it to nowhere. He's dragging this fucking mule out into a dry desert to die. If you follow Chip Roy politically, you are in for a world of hurt. He is a flim-flam man, just like MTG, just like Matt Gaetz. They're blazingly full of shit. They have no idea where they're going. There is nothing down this hole, and they are leading you astray because they have nothing else to offer. Do you think this motherfucker has budgetary ideas other than none of that? It's like, are you a farmer? I know I don't like weeds. Well, which one are weeds? Is that the weed or is that the weed? I don't know. They all kind of look alike when they're small. Exactly, fuckwad. That's why it pays. That's what makes you a farmer. You know the difference between the corn and the weed, because when they're sprouts, they look very similar. But when they get bigger, that's when you know which one you can eat and which one will give you a rash. Jesus Christ. I'm so aggravated by fucking...
Roy, thank you, sir.
Oh, God. Thank you for wasting our time, Roy. This is the current... Oh, did Chud run off? She got tired of waiting, or did she go... Chud, did you go behind the green screen again? No, she walked out. Okay, I didn't see her walk out. I was too busy. She was sick of hearing my shit. My cat walked out on me. It's so sad. Anyways, I adore you guys. Whew. Long day. Lots. Man, oh Shevitz. It's a good show. I felt good. All fucking 7 hours of it seems like. It was all ran together. I had an hour off today where I was basically setting up graphics for the later one. But I had a great time with you guys, and I appreciate you being here, and thank you for the support. Thanks for all the love and the super chats and the stuff, and especially, just hanging in there. It's been a long show. Share the show. Let people know about it. I appreciate it.